into the club, 'cause you're that kind of nerd.
Hello, bienvenue, and welcome to the club that is That Kind of Nerd, a show where we talk about the nerdy things that we're passionate about, and then we judge each other on what we bring to the table. I am your humble host this week, CJ Millen, joined by Brian Thornton and Josh Burns.
What up?
Namaste.
That was also the quickest reaction and the quickest greeting. Very good.
I'm centering myself. I don't need the extra time to think anymore.
Oh, good.
We'll see how I feel next week.
During the conversations or at the end of the topics, I, your humble host, will be awarding points to my co-host here, and the winner at the end of the show with the most points will be the host of the next episode. So first of all, hi, how are you? It's been a while. Just wanted to say hi. How's everybody doing?
I knew you were going to do it. I
know.
You were going to do it. I wanted to actually beat you to it this time, but
I figured you did.
It has been a while. And as I was telling Josh, nothing has changed for me. So I continue to chase a kid around and do my nerdy shit in between, and that's it. How are you, gentlemen?
I think we thankfully took the right month off with the writer's strike and everything that's been going on.
Really, nothing was going on.
Nothing.
Right?
Nothing at all.
Not a lot happening.
Nothing.
The video game industry not doing a whole lot either. A couple things happened in tech. I now am the proud owner of a new iPhone 15 Pro.
I think that's probably the biggest thing that's happened
Pro.
Recently.
So, I mean, other than that and a 15-hour drive to Florida and finally getting to go to Galaxy's Edge, which was amazing. And now, like Brian, I have a little droid, 2 of them in the house that I built, one that I built and one that my kids built. I didn't do a lightsaber. I didn't get to do the milk.
You made your kids share a joy building experience?
Yeah,
How did that go?
Absolutely loved it. They
didn't fight over colors or pieces or anything?
I don't know how. The House of Mouse's magic came over them for that day, and they have not fought about the droid's name, the colors, the type of droid, or who.
What's the droid's name?
Oh God, they call it. Hold on, Joy Madrigal, because they were watching Encanto the day that they were naming the droid.
Right.
So they named it Joy.
That's not a droid name, but okay.
I'm aware of this. They don't have
droid names are letters and numbers. Tell them to get their shit together.
They don't have a D. It's an R2.
It's actually unit. It's actually J01, so it's Joy.
Oh, there you go.
I'll take that.
I'll take that.
They don't have a droid designation for the droid. Also, Brian, and maybe you can help me with this. They didn't give me a droid designation for my BB unit, so I don't know what to name my BB unit.
Well, I mean, your BB unit would be BB and then a series of numbers, right?
That's what I'm saying. I just make it up, but like. I feel like that should be assigned to you.
They didn't give me any assignment on my droid. My droid is R10T5. That's easy peasy.
Josh, how about you? What's been up with you?
Not much. Nothing really. Like, just watching as much content as I can consume after work.
Josh blew through some lists while everybody was on strike.
I did. I watched a lot of movies, a lot of shows. And I had to stop watching baseball because this is just the worst Yankee season I can remember in a long, long time.
When is baseball done? When is that all done?
Any day now. Any day. Well, it's the playoffs. The playoffs will start, right? The playoffs are going to start. And we have the fall classic. So I'll probably watch some playoff baseball.
Then you got the Winter Classic, and then one more ride, and then the season starts back up again, right?
Right after Toyotathon, yes.
Right after Toyotathon, of course. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like I never escape. It's like football just started, right? And then you do the season, and then the Super Bowl happens, and then the post Super Bowl discussion happens, and then the pre-draft happens, and then the pre-draft discussion happens, and then the draft happens.
As you know, I am in year-round fantasy football league, so football doesn't ever stop for me. But I did cut that back from 20 leagues to 14 this year.
all right. What six did make the cut? What was the deciding factor that these 6 just had to go?
How much money was on the line?
No. Those leagues I had either completely mortgaged the future to win now, or had taken some had made a couple risky decisions that led to a team needing to be rebuilt immediately, and I didn't want to waste the energy. So like either I extracted maximum value out of those franchises, and now I'm done with them.
I've milked them for all they have, in other words.
Well, look, if you and the purpose of dynasty fantasy football is you're not drafting a team for this year. Right? That's called
keeping that team and changing things like that.
You're drafting a team to win consecutive championships over a number of years, or to be a perennial.
So
playoff
you were either the New England Patriots in some of these leagues.
It's the point of being a dynasty, right?
Right.
You're looking to finish in the money every single year, which would mean you would probably need to finish in the top 3. And after having done that for a number of years consecutively, and the players that I drafted in 2014, they're aged out. Like there's just no
right.
These guys are old.
Well, if you need somebody, I heard that this Travis Kelce guy got put on the map recently by Taylor Swift. Is that what
we're gonna talk about that?
I heard that up and comer is going to be a big deal. I also
he's got a good career ahead of him. I heard.
Pretty sure Aaron Rodgers isn't doing anything. I heard something about him, over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, I heard he played 5 snaps in that game. And
was it 5? I thought it was 3. It was bad. It was really bad.
One of them was the leg, Josh.
That's right. It was there's a video set to the Smash Mouth.
Right. Somebody.
Yeah, that you can see his Achilles reverberate. Yeah.
Oh, man. I watched that, and I've never felt that pain, but I went, ooh.
Right. You're like, oh, your calf shouldn't move
That's
that much.
not supposed to do that.
It's big football news when it shows up on my FYP, and that shit was all over my FYP. I was like, oh, if I even know what's going on with him, that's bad. That's bad.
Josh, you had mentioned though that baseball this season not great for the Yankees. As we had talked a few episodes ago, this was maybe a year that I was kind of interested in baseball. There were some developments.
Boss Noggins, right? How many of those games did you go to with a giant ass hat, Josh?
Right, not those. But then, Josh, I actually watched a few MLB games. And I don't know if I just picked the wrong ones, and now I can't tell you who they were. This was months ago, and I just fell off so hard. So maybe next year, if it's good, I'll grab the Yankees and see if they're fun to watch.
It's so funny. I was just talking about baseball with my wife because I've been to a few baseball games, and I was very much like, I'd much rather, and Josh, you'll probably want to stab me through the screen for saying this, I'd much rather watch it at home on TV than actually go to the stadium. I can never see where the freaking ball is when I'm there live in action.
Baseball is one of those sports that is better in person.
Yeah.
But you can't. There's no bad seat at home, right? You get the best of all the action, but that's the same for every sport. Baseball is one of the best sports to see in person.
Okay. Well, then I apparently went to the wrong games, and I will have to rectify that, I guess. Last time I went, the biggest highlight of the baseball game I went to was the fact that I had chocolate covered bacon, which was pretty good.
I have a question for you, John, because I think it's either coming up or maybe it already happened. But we had talked a while back about trying to make sports more palatable for children. And there was like the SpongeBob stuff with Nickelodeon and
for football.
For football.
Oh,
and I just
saw
read,
this.
Right. That the NFL on Disney Plus and ESPN Plus are going to be doing I believe it was the Falcons Jaguars game live, in the Toy Story world, where they're going to make the players Toy Story live to the minute using all the newest.
They're just instantly going to be able to generate this toy field in Andy's
room. Watch
room.
it there. I think we talked about the NHL doing something like this with the pucks. I'm just curious about what you think about that.
I think it's fine. I just think it's so far off the mark here. So a broadcast like that is saying parents are plopping their children in front of a television to watch a sports broadcast.
Right.
Where the parents are having little to no involvement. The point for me of sports, and especially football and baseball, was about bonding with my kids. And Christian really took to those sports like heavily. And today, of course we still watch football and baseball together, but we also watch basketball together. And I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I will watch with him.
Right.
And we watch every UFC fight night or UFC event together. And we talk UFC nonstop. We play UFC 4 on the PS5. Like, sport for me is about a connection with other people, right? And it's not just in the like camaraderie sense.
Right.
I don't think a Toy Story broadcast does anything to connect father and son to football, or mother and son to football.
Can it connect a nerd like me to football? Can this be?
No,
it's not.
No, I don't. I don't
you.
think it can.
Like, my question was, because I saw this and I thought, like, and listen, this is maybe I'm being cynical, or maybe I just don't understand. So Josh, I'm glad we're having this talk. Because my first thought was, are the broadcasts in that much trouble that we're trying to cater to kids and get more? Because I read that as, hey, we need our fans are aging out and we need to bring in fresh blood. Like, is there not a constant flux of new fans coming in to these sports?
There is,
because that's what that tells me, is that we need to cater to the kids.
There's a generational problem, okay, and the problem with the youngest generation now, I believe, is one of attention span and instant gratification, right? So when you're talking about a social media generation, it's about clicks and likes and whatnot, right? So that's not what sports is. And so sports does need to evolve especially in how it's broadcast to the masses. And
is this the way to do it?
Time will tell, right?
I guess. Honestly,
I mean, Josh, as a longtime sports fan, right? Like, and I agree, we live in a world where I need instant gratification and very short form media, right? The age of YouTube and TikTok and things like that. And sports is not that. You're absolutely right. There's 3-4 hour games sometimes. I can't even sit for that long for some of this stuff. I guess, is there a better way to do it is my question. Or, do we need to have the flashy SpongeBob, flashing lights in your face kind of broadcast to get younger people into sports?
It's not about the how you present the sport visually. It's about how you engage the listener audibly, right? And sports broadcasts are not built for this generation. They are just not built for the youngest generation, and they're not. They're built for people who've been watching sports forever and ever and ever.
Correct.
And sports broadcasting hasn't changed that much, and even other than the language evolving with the times and folding in a bit more popular culture, which has happened quite a bit more recently. It hasn't changed. What needs to change is the way the content gets delivered. This stuff needs to go mobile. It needs to be in shorter bursts. You need to have, what you need to have? Here's what you need to have, Brian. You need to have almost if this is really going to be geared towards a younger generation, a newer generation, it needs to be almost like live podcast, Twitch live stream format broadcast.
Sure.
Where I'm watching someone watching it and interacting with them as they do.
There are people on Twitch who do that. Unfortunately, the fact is the NFL.
There's no market for it, right?
Well, it's not even that. The NFL's got
the NFL has a chokehold on, right.
You'll get removed.
Right, because they need to be able to make the money off that.
Exactly. Right.
Right. And so let me put a ribbon on maybe on this part of the sports conversation by saying this was the first 100-win season for the Baltimore Orioles since 1980, right? And when the season started, I said to my wife, my kid, I'm like, you need to watch the Orioles. They've got this phenomenal young team where the oldest player on the team was like 31,
Oh wow.
32, and they have like 4 or 5 guys under the age of 25 who are lightning in a bottle good. And I said it during spring training, and then I said it early in the season. I'm like, you got to watch these guys. Like the Orioles and the Blue Jays are incredibly young, fun. You know, everybody says young, vibrant. Look, they're very young, fun teams who just play a hell of a ball game. And these teams won 189 games respectively, where the Yankees are just trying to finish over 500 because the Yankees haven't had a losing season under 500 in 31 years. But like, I don't want to watch the Yankees struggle to stay over 500. I want to see my Yankees win.
Right.
But these other teams have found a way to put it together with youth and vigor. That this kid in Atlanta, Ronald Acuna Jr., he is the first player in the history of baseball to hit 40 home runs and steal 70 bases, and he stole his 70th base this week. And that's a giant achievement. And what you've seen from this team, the Braves, who has recently won a championship and has rebuilt themselves, they let go. They let a lot of their fan favorites leave the team in favor of these younger guys. And that's a risk, right? But you risk your fan base. You risk people putting butts in seats because you let Freddie Freeman go. But you did it because you've got these other guys who are coming. And that's like, for me, that's what sports is about. Sports is about putting together the best possible team to win a championship and kind of popularity be damned.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what the NFL is about. NFL is about, we need Patrick Mahomes to win. We need Tom Brady to win. We need the faces to win. Right, we need Aaron Rodgers not to snap his Achilles 3 snaps into the. I mean, there was somebody at the NFL offices like throwing
there goes
papers
the script.
in the air.
There goes the script.
Right. That's right, and that's. But you can't predict. You have to have something else to bring people in, and I do think the changing, like loosening up the chokehold on the licensing.
Oh my god!
Which I mean, I might as well. I've just asked for communism, right? But that's the silver bullet, right? Is having people
or
interact.
Listen, if they don't want to, let me ask you this, because again, you have A, sports more than me. B, you have a better mind for business. Maybe do they necessarily need to loosen the chokehold, or can they go to or even mold their own streamers and say, hey, we own these 5 people. They're going to go and they're going to live stream on Twitch. And then we'll pay you X. We get a cut of every subscription, every follow, every, all the bits and however else you make money on Twitch, right? Why not just do that? To your point, I agree with you. I agree with you to the point of, listen, I'm 37 years old and I can't stand listening to these fucking commentators. They're all, to your point, aged out, old quarterbacks who are, 40s, 50s. And like, they're not bringing in, any younger listeners audibly, right? So like, why not just go to, a bunch of 20 somethings and zennials?
Most of the guys are in their 60s, 70s. Like,
I'm being
maybe you get Tony Romo after he's done. Right, to come in.
Romo's the best thing that's happened to broadcasting in a long, long time.
He does a lot of the CBS, which is where I end up watching football games.
Yes.
And I'm like,
because they do a lot of the AFC games.
Right. And Jenny's like, I hate Tony Romo. And I'm just like, listen, I don't know much about football. He actually helps me out on this one. So thank you for making this fun and interesting to watch.
He is the best thing that's happened to sports broadcasting in a long time.
Which I know hurts a lot of people to say. Because people just hate Tony Romo.
He's not
He's not
the
in
Dallas
that game
Cowboys
anymore.
quarterback.
Right. He's not in that game anymore. Right.
He's a sports broadcaster. Like, give the guy a break. You know what I mean? Well,
Isn't one of the Watts going to be a broadcaster too? I thought one of the Watt family just retired and is going to do.
Look, if JJ goes into it, that'd be awesome, right? He's one of those guys that is universally admired and loved by fans, regardless of whether you like the team he's playing on. You love JJ Watt.
Yep.
I think we agree that like if you want younger and more energy and younger audience, then get younger commentators. It's not even about younger players at times, right? You know, get the people who are actually explaining this to the folks.
There's always younger players.
Right.
Every year there's younger players.
Exactly.
Be where the next generation is going to skate to where the puck is going, not where it is, right, Brian? It's get people on Twitch because that's where the young people are. Get better commentators that are younger, that
or
can break
YouTube
it
Live
down.
or what have you, right?
Whatever the live thing, Kick, whatever is now popular with the youths.
Can we?
All right, I'm
can
gonna
we take a moment? Hang on. Can we take a moment and pause and admire the fact that I actually participated in a sports-driven conversation,
and you didn't poo-poo it
in a meaningful way, right?
I know. Hence the points I'm about to award. So that was That Kind of Nerd Sports.
I am so proud of myself. I'm so proud of myself.
I am awarding 6 points to Brian for asking the better question than what I had asked and getting a better discussion out of it. 10 points to Josh for saving all of sports. 1 point for me because I feel like it, and why the hell not? So with that, then, I will bring up the availability of your two topics. I think that was better than what I had planned, so I'm going to count that as mine. Gentlemen, the floor is yours for who.
We can always circle back to whatever you had planned, and then we can actually judge which one was better.
My bigger question is right now, hey, I'm doing I'm doing the count of how many USB-C things I have in my house, and then like how many things I have to buy, how many cables I need, and doing the whole reshuffling. I won't help with that, but
was that your topic? How many USB-C cables?
But it's more just like the camera's what spurred this on, right? Right before we started recording, my camera would not connect to my goddamn Mac, and I tried 3 different USB-C cables, and I'm like running around the house going, how many of these do I have, and why is none of them working? Is it the device? Is it the cable? Is it the port? Blah, just trying to figure it all out, and now I realize I'm going to restock all my cables because I've got lightning cables coming out of my asshole, but I don't have enough USB-C cables to be like, I want to try a C to C, a C to A. Is this a 3 or a 2 or a 1? What is this?
Get a bunch of
AliExpress
for cables.
Yeah,
I feel like
man,
that's dangerous.
I buy like all my cable. I buy the off-brand Amazon ones and the AliExpress ones.
Send me a link to some of the cables you bought, and I will definitely be doing that. All right. But again, topics open to you. Who would like to take the crack?
Well, Josh also mentioned that he wanted to talk about this up-and-comer who's dating Taylor Swift. Is that your topic?
God.
Let's
Do you want to go talk about that?
Yeah, let's talk about... So here look.
I heard he's going to make a name for himself soon. Good for him.
For those of you listening who are unaware,
I'm even aware of this.
We're
This is
also
actually
putting ourselves in a
news.
meme, so like this has no evergreen content to it. Go for it.
Travis Kelce is a 10-year veteran of the National Football League who...
no, we're talking about Taylor Swift's boyfriend. He's new to this whole game.
He's
brand new.
He is a 2-time Super Bowl champion, a 4-time first-team All-Pro.
As recent as last year, right?
3-time second, as recent as last year when the
Doesn't Taylor Swift have 12 Grammys? So she's better than him, right? That's what that means.
They are not the same ballpark. They are not the same sport.
They're two
they
different
are barely
careers.
on the same plane of existence. This guy is, in my opinion, the best at his position in the game. And in my opinion, when he retires, will be considered one of the best all-time tight ends to play the game. He also has an incredibly popular social media presence and podcast with his brother, Jason
I've seen
Kelce.
those two, yeah.
Travis Kelce can't go anywhere without the camera being on him. Now, Taylor Swift, and I want to be super clear about this, I think is an incredibly talented songwriter and an artist. I like most of her music, and I especially like that she writes from a place of personal experience, and that when she does write, she not only very rarely, like, she collaborates a lot, but other people don't write for her except for basically the same person all the time. Like Jack Antonoff has written for her for quite a long time, and I really like their collaboration, and I think that Jack Antonoff has a really good feel for Taylor's.
I had no
voice
idea
and,
that Burns was a Swiftie until this exact moment. It was this moment that I realized he was a Swiftie.
I think I'm a fan of music.
He's a fan of music, yeah.
I like good music.
And let's be real. Again, to Josh's point, she writes good music.
Oh, yeah.
She writes great music.
It took me a while to get around to this, right? Like I think, in the 1989 phase was like when it was cool to hate on her. And so I was like, no, Taylor Swift, whatever. But like, as I've grown, I have come completely around on her. I actually do enjoy, to Josh's point, most of her music. I think she is one of the few artists who constantly is reinventing herself and her music, and to just keep up with the constant changes going on, not just in her life, but in pop media as a whole. I think she's one of the few people who has the staying power of like a Madonna or a Michael Jackson or somebody like that, right?
I mean, the Eras Tour went on sale for theaters, right, with no major movie company behind and backing it, and like has done an immense amount. I like outperformed blockbuster movies that have multi-billion-dollar conglomerates running behind it, right? And just no big advertising push, just the fact that it was there destroyed box office numbers.
Here's the thing that I like the most about the Taylor Swift situation right now is obviously they saw Taylor Swift. I mean, the broadcast team had the camera on her, and like I don't need that. And they always flash to the families, right? But like it was pretty. Yeah. It kept going.
Yeah.
And so much so that the NFL was like, Taylor Swift is at the Chiefs game and she's with Travis Kelce's mom. We should play Taylor Swift music on the broadcast and Taylor Swift went, no. Like they asked for permission and she was like, no. Like,
good for her.
Yeah. And for me, that's about integrity, right?
Right.
It's about like, she knows this isn't about her, and whether or not part of what she's doing is publicity stunt or whether it's genuine, frankly, I don't care, because it doesn't seem like she's using it to broadcast her product.
Correct.
As much as she is support someone else's. And I honestly don't care in what capacity. I don't care what their relationship status is. I don't care, is this just going to be fodder for a new song? I don't care. Because it's not football for me. Not about that. It's about this other thing called football, and not about like any of this social interaction bullshit. I just don't care. But I think that she is time after time after time, and under intense public scrutiny, a classy lady, like really classy. And, you guys said staying power. And I do think that, we could possibly in 20 years still be getting new music. It could still you said Madonna, and okay, maybe, right? Like in my head, it's more like Stevie Nicks. It's more like I just think that the music is transcendent of a genre or even a generation. Like people my age, your age, and my daughter's age listen to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's crazy to me. There are very few artists that you can say that about. Similarly, people my age, your age, and my daughter's age are wearing Travis Kelce jerseys.
400%. His jersey sales went up 400%.
Look, I
that's
think
good for him. That's money going to him too. Like,
no, I think to like that's a good byproduct of this thing. Like put him on the map. Yes, in the way that mall walkers go to see movies because of who's in the movie and not because of the content. Yes. in that respect, people who would never have otherwise known who he is know now who he is. And I don't care, for better or worse, whether they know any of his accolades, because the dude is one of the greatest to ever do it, and humble enough that he would never call himself that.
Right.
So like I'm good with all the attention he gets. I'm good with all the attention she gets. I think both of them are class acts and deserve all the good that comes to them. And I hope that because of the presence that Kelsey is building now, he is the next, or maybe the first generation of the new sports broadcasting. If you guys don't watch the Manning cast on ESPN2, you should. Peyton and Eli Manning, 5 or 6 of the Monday nights over the course of the year, have their own broadcast, which is both hilarious and next level football shit. Like, I like it because there are insights into the game that you will not get watching a normal broadcast. And there's Eli calling Peyton old and Peyton calling Eli dumb. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
it's
the brothers jabbing of the whole thing, but also like both brothers who played at a level that people can only dream of.
Crazy high level, multiple Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Hall of Fame guys.
Yeah.
Having everyman discussions is that next level, that new era, I believe, of sports broadcasting, and I hope the Kelsey brothers do it too. And this could only, add fuel to that fire. So that's my spiel on the new up and comer Travis Kelce.
Well, you know what? I'm actually shocked just by the wholesome feelings of love and their relationship, and I'm just
I was expecting something a little bit more vitriol. I'm not gonna lie.
Me too. I'm awarding 3 points just for the power of love. I just think that's the right way to go about it. Brian,
we love love on this podcast.
Brian, I award you nothing to this. You just asked.
That's fine. I didn't add too much to that conversation anyway. I don't know enough about Travis. I knew about his podcast, and I knew he won the Super Bowl last year. That's all I know.
I've watched clips of them before because they were against each other in the Super Bowl last time, right? And they went home, and the one girl was like, "I didn't want Uncle to win. I wanted you to win." And it's just one of those sweet moments. You're like, "Oh," it's like, "Well, we're happy he won, right? Yeah, but we're sad that I lost. Yeah, how do you feel about that? I don't know." It's like, okay, it's
got to be very confusing in that household that last year.
The mom was dope. She had a jersey that was 50-50,
half and half, yeah.
And like,
good for her.
And she like everyone was so great on the field afterwards. And just like you just saw that great moment where it wasn't really bitter, just probably really fun in that household. It looked like that would be actually a really fun, a fun house to be in. Where it isn't that kind of rivalry.
I will say the one thing, and again, like I don't think this is an actual belief, but someone making a joke about this whole Taylor Swift Travis Kelce thing, because Taylor Swift is from PA. And like they couldn't fathom the idea that a PA girl would root for any other football team besides the Eagles. So their whole conspiracy theory is that she's going in undercover to take down the team from within by breaking Travis Kelce's
break
heart
up with him in the middle of the season and just tank the
exactly, and it'll just tank the Chiefs apparently because that's what they need. I'm like, that's stupid, but you have fun with that.
He doesn't strike me as the guy that is going to bring
and that's not going to get him
a broken heart onto the field.
Sure.
No, he doesn't.
Or if he does, he's breaking someone's leg for it.
That's right. If anything, he's going to get meaner. You know what I mean? And not
more sacks for me.
He's a tight end. He's not hitting.
Listen,
anybody.
I don't know football.
This is why I didn't say any stupid shit like that. What does a tight end do?
Josh.
They catch the ball.
They catch the ball, right? Yeah. They're on the ends of the line, right?
Minus the 1 point I gave myself.
Tightly. And they just... See, even I knew that part.
Brian, you get the point I just lost for knowing things about football. There's your
excellent. All is right in the world. You're back at zero as you should be for being host. All right, excellent. Well, what's next, host?
You, good sir.
Oh, is it my turn? It's my turn. I have a choose your own adventure because I have three different topics, and I didn't know which one to go with. So it's a choose your own adventure. 2 of them are lists. I'm going to be right up front with you like that. 2 of them are lists. I will let you know what the lists are, and I'll let you know what my my third topic is, and then you both can decide what you would rather talk about. It's like that Goosebumps. The only difference is you can't go to the end of the choose your own path and then go back and make a different choice. We are committed to whatever choice you make. Okay. So I've got the two lists here. 35 best movies to see before you die, as by The Independent. Rolling Stone recently did an article, the 50 worst decisions in movie history, that we can discuss.
Don't want to.
So those are the two lists.
Okay.
Or my third topic is your latest nerdy obsession. Choose your own adventure. What do you want to talk about?
I do like
I'd say-
tearing down a list because nothing.
Yeah,
nothing
I say flip a coin. But
Flip a coin on the list. Okay. You know what? Let's see here. Honestly, we might be able to even touch both of these lists in the time that we have. So I'm going to start with the 50 worst decisions in movie history.
Okay.
So let me share this link for you.
Now, I would like, as a point
Purely
of order,
because of Josh's reaction.
for a programming note, I have listened back to our list episodes, which are great, but we do a very poor job of explaining what is on the list before we start tearing it apart.
So
We just need to do better about that.
I honestly agreed, sure. I honestly don't even want to talk about. There's 50 of these things. We can touch on the highlights, right? I'm not going to go through the entire thing.
Top 5, bottom 5, and then anything that's in the gap. This one is 30. We just need to do a better job of explaining the list before we tear it apart.
Sure. Rolling Stone made this list of the 50 worst decisions in movie history. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. This list and us talking about this topic is actually inspired by a TikTok I saw, and I'm very sorry I didn't write down the user. Who looked at this list and it made the point that I'm about to make to you, gentlemen.
Is it the Twilight Zone?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Because as you go through this list, there are plenty of things, and none of these are this movie mistake, in the movie. It's all things around the movie, right?
It's Matt Goldberg, by the way. That is your TikTok.
Who is it?
Matt Goldberg.
Matt Goldberg. Thank you. Things like, hey, Alien 3 being taken away from David Fincher. And things like, hey, this person turned down this role and lost out.
Yeah.
Like Will Smith turning down the role of The Matrix and lost out a lot of money, right? But the point he made that I, too, want to make is at number 7, they put Twilight Zone, the movie, fails to take proper safety precautions. An adult and 2 children died as a result. They didn't take the proper safety precautions in this helicopter scene in the 1983 movie The Twilight Zone, and 3 human people died as a result.
Children.
That's at number 7.
Children.
2 of them being children. Number 6, which is, from the way I would read this list, is worse than people died. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller get fired from Solo. What the hell is wrong with Rolling Stone? Number 5, Matt Damon turns down Avatar, including 10% on the back end. Worse than people dying. Number 4, Will Smith slaps Chris Rock at the Academy Awards. Blockbuster.
what does that have to do with movies?
Exactly. 2 actors were involved. Here's another. Blockbuster gets an offer to buy Netflix for $50 million in 2000, turns it down. That's number 3.
Has nothing to do with movies.
Number 2, Burt Reynolds turns down James Bond, The Godfather, Star Wars, Pretty Woman, and One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Yes, Burt Reynolds' career was so severely damaged by that. To the tune that 3 people died in 1983. And then the number 1 is The Conqueror gives its cast cancer, probably definitely kills John Wayne, which it has not been proven. That's absolutely speculative. But okay. John Wayne might have died, and a couple people might have gotten cancer because of it. 3 people died in a helicopter crash because you cut corners, and that is the 7th worst thing that happened in Hollywood? Are you fucking kidding me?
The clip too, and again, that TikToker did share this. The clip in the Rolling Stone article even says, and they didn't even die for a good movie.
Ooh.
Not for the Twilight Zone, but for the racist movie that probably killed John Wayne, the Conqueror.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good on this list.
So, cool. That's just again, to Josh's point, a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with movies, a bunch of stuff. But here's my biggest comment, Josh. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on this. This is Rolling Stone. This is supposed to be as credible sources go. This isn't some blogger writing up an article in their freaking bedroom. This is Rolling Stone.
Let's look at Andy Greer, right?
When you said Rolling Stone made a list, my reaction was ugh. because we've reviewed several Rolling Stone lists and they have not been good. And if you want to,
also, where is not hiring us for DC? Where the hell is that? That's not on the list. Worst decision in Hollywood.
That's number 51. Don't worry,
as it should be.
If you want to, really think, really question integrity, just look at any of the recent Rolling Stone best music lists. It's very, very bad. But this is it's obviously way off the mark, and I don't want to review anything that this guy wrote.
Andy, my point is, Andy Green, you need to get your priorities straight.
Right.
Really take a second look at yourself and realize that 3 people dying is probably worse than Matt Damon losing a lot of money.
Or the editors who are like, you got to move this. This isn't. I get that.
Yeah.
I get
who
they
looked at this and said, yeah, that's a good list. All right. So let's go into our second movie list of the day. Here are, according to The Independent, the 35 best movies.
Was it written by Trent Krim?
It better be.
Trent Krim, Independent, right? Helen O'Hara and Patrick Smith concocted a list of 35 best movies to see before you die. These are the must-see movies before you die. Some of them I agree with. Some of them I understand why they're on there, but I don't think they're a good movie. And some of them probably should not be on here at all. So I'm curious. This is the one we could talk a little bit more in depth about. I'm curious your thoughts. I'll start off. First off, I would like to give them kudos for putting the Avengers 2012 on this list, but then immediately take those kudos away with how they described the first line. Yes, comma, but hear us out. It's such a sin that they put an MCU movie on the list of movies you need to watch before you die.
Right.
And it is a movie you should watch before you die, not just because it's good. It is good. But for all the reasons that they actually listed in that blurb about how this was the beginning of a grand experiment that Marvel has banked on for the past 10 years since. No one did this in movies before 2012. I think that's a good point to make. But then going into movies that I don't think need to be on here at all. The Royal Tenenbaums does not need to be on the list of movies to see before I die. In fact, any Wes Anderson movie can go die in the fire where it should be held forever. That movie is not good. And it is there. I could probably think of 10 other films that are better than Royal Tenenbaums that you need to watch before you die. And then one other example of, hey, I understand why it's on here, but I don't think it's a good movie. And I'm going to be controversial to all of my film nerds when I say this. Citizen Kane is not a good film. And I have seen it. It is boring.
I'm never going to see it.
Don't, Josh. You'll fall asleep.
Well,
you'll fall asleep.
It's not about... Yeah, but you know why this is on everything.
It doesn't matter. Exactly. It doesn't matter why. I think the bigger problem is this list was written for exactly no one. This is a list that is ideal for no one.
It's ideal for movie critics. That's what it is.
I don't think it is ideal for movie critics. I don't.
Okay, continue.
Listen, if it's to your Brian, I see what you're saying with the Hoityiest of Toities.
Yeah.
The
Hoityiest of Toities.
But here's the thing. If it's for movie critics, I don't believe it's including Hoop Dreams, Before Midnight, and there was one other thing I saw in here that I thought, really, why? In a movie that I love, Raising Arizona. I just don't Raising Arizona was thrown on here to put a Coen Brothers movie that won't ruffle feathers, right? It's a list for people who want to say they've made a list of things. It's the same. These 100 books. You must read these 100 books. Why? Like, what if I don't like most of those genres? Like,
Right.
should I really? Am I going to get anything out of seeing When Harry Met Sally
No.
if I'm more of a Clockwork Orange kind of guy?
Right.
Right? And like, look, I think it's wonderful that Inside Out made this list. I think that when we made our definitive list of Pixar movies, Inside Out was way up there.
Definitely one of the tops. Yeah.
And I should be able to remember what was number one because we were unanimous. We were unanimous on it, right?
I'm pretty sure if we weren't, it was like maybe like, oh, I get it, we're fine with it.
To the show notes.
I will say like The Incredibles is probably my favorite Pixar film, but like I don't think I would say it's the greatest Pixar film. I think we agreed it was one of the Toy Stories. Maybe Toy Story 2?
I don't think it was.
No?
I don't think it was a Toy Story.
Hold on, I've got the imager up with it.
CJ's pulling it up.
I have got our S tiers and everything. I'm gonna put link coming in the show notes. Give me just a second. And if you're listening on a good podcast app or the new iOS 17, this will now be your chapter note. So you will now see this.
Let me ask you something about that as you pull this up. Who the hell is actually looking at their phone while listening to a podcast that would matter?
Well,
it would display in my car.
yeah, just plays in car or I do it all the time on shows. If they have dynamic,
I don't have that. Ratatouille.
Yes,
that's correct.
Ratatouille.
Yes.
Agreed.
We were unanimous.
We were
on
unanimous
Ratatouille.
on that. Yes.
So like, there are things on here that combined together suit no one.
Right.
And there is nothing like It's like the comedian telling a long joke one piece at a time just to try to alienate the entire crowd, and I have a tremendous appreciation for that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Until like they've narrowed the joke down to the target audience of one.
Right.
That's what this list is, and I think it's just awful.
Well, that actually brings up a good point at the larger topic of I don't think there's any right way to do a list like this, right? I don't think this list needs to exist because to your point, like you do the top 10 superhero movies, that's one thing, right? Like you're catering to a certain crowd. You do the top 10 horror movies, top 10 animated films, right? Like when you say top 10 movies that you need to see before you die, you are intimating that everybody needs to see this before they die, or everybody needs to read this, or everybody needs to listen to these 10 albums. And to your point, like, I'm not, like, I don't give a crap about it. And I'm a huge film buff.
I think
like,
I think you would
stuff.
phrase it this way: the same way we did our top 5 albums, and the same way that we did that. If you are like us, right? If you identify with our thoughts, our opinions, if you're like, I like how CJ thinks, which, by the way, if you do, get psychological help. You shouldn't be. Listen to the.
Then there is another CJ in this world, and we need to find you and hunt you down.
There can be only one. If you like what Josh says or you like what Brian says, here's that kind of nerd one because you know how we think, you know how we like, go for it, right? But even that's still going to have variances of like, oh, I have no interest in animation at all. Get this crap off my list. You could do it that way. Like, hey, if you like my writing, these are the ones that I think you would like. But at that point, why publish that article? It's so niche.
Well, it's just, like I'm going to make something that is subjective, but subjective to 8 different things. Like this, the person who wrote this talks about the ability of movies to move you, but then makes a list with all this like ethereal cinematic experience kind of crap, which is not. Look, by the way, if you want to watch movies that are about filmmaking and visually stunning or this and that, look, watch anything that A24's done recently.
Yeah, you went down the A24 rabbit hole recently.
I think either they got
a lot of their stuff is good. I've seen a bunch of their stuff. I have yet to not
There
like
is stuff
anything.
in there that's like, what the hell is the point of this?
Correct.
If you have not, and I guarantee neither of you have watched Minari yet.
Not yet, no. Minari is from is that Bong Joon-ho?
You need to watch Minari. God,
do I have to watch it before I die? Do I have to watch it before I die, Josh?
Listen, I think if you
if you're listening to your voice and you like what Josh says, watch that movie.
It was incredibly well made, but the story is so good. And
No, it's Lee Isaac Chung. My bad. Okay.
if you have not watched Midsummer,
Midsommar is a fantastic film.
and
Love
like,
that film.
and it's a film, right? It's a film, but like
It's cinema.
the story,
Yeah.
right? And like I watched it with Zoe, and there's some shit in there that you probably shouldn't watch when you're 13.
Probably not.
But I'm like, listen, we're gonna be mature about it, and we're gonna take it at face value. She's like, yes. I'm like, great.
But at the same time, right? Like my wife we watch a lot of movies together. We have very shared sensibilities, hence why we're married and we have children together. However, if she sees the A24 logo show up for a movie,
out.
she's like, I'm out. This isn't for me. This is not the stuff that speaks to me for a movie. Yes, there's outliers. There's always like one popular hit, right, from A24 that gets across everybody, which is fine. But like, you have to win her over if you see the A24 just because of the different movies that they make. Hence why you say, if you like A24, these are the movies you should watch.
Although
right?
I think to Josh's point, A24.
This is a list made for no one. You're right.
This is a list made to no one. But going back to the comment on A24, yes, they make, and we joke, oh, they make cinema, film, right? And they do, but I think they do it in a way that makes it palpable for the more mall walkers.
Yeah, they do.
Like, I think it is
Most
not,
times.
it's not pompous, it's not pretentious, it's not, you're stupid if you can't figure out this film, which a lot of auteurs tend to do. They do films, and as a movie studio, they're freaking genius, right? They do cheap films that do not cost a lot of money, and they flood it into every theater or throw it on every stream service, and they garner a ton of attention. Like, this is it's not, you're never going to get an Avengers level film out of them, but it's always going to be quality. And like, I remember the biggest thing about, not just because Everything Everywhere All at Once won Oscars, and I have not watched it yet, but I'm sure it deserves all those Oscars.
You haven't watched it yet?
So good, Brian.
My
I know
God.
it's so good. I know. This is why I haven't watched it yet, because I do want to sit down. I do want to enjoy it, and I do have a toddler. So it's just hard to get that uninterrupted time. But what I will say is the biggest critique, every review I saw was like, why not? Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness came out that same year, or the year prior.
Right.
I can't remember which. And it's just like, why is this movie
The better one.
does it right, and this movie that has hundreds of millions of dollars behind it gets it so wrong?
Right.
Like, I think that's the magic of what A24 does, which is they invest in writers. They invest in the writing. They back projects with a solid story, solid premise, and things that you can latch onto. And then they get your Anya Taylor-Joys and your Florence Pughs, who
It's
are...
Julianne Moore. They love the Julianne Moore's in everything that A24 does, apparently.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, they take that material and then they elevate it, right? So, like, I just think, listen, after these strikes, and this list led to a completely different conversation, which I'm okay with. But after these strikes, Hollywood needs to start being very smart about how they spend their money. And not because, listen, the writers got everything they have absolutely asked for. And the actors probably will as well. But the reality of it is, this past year, we didn't have a ton of blockbuster hits. We didn't have a ton of billion-dollar movies. Barbie, Super Mario, and funnily enough, taking it full circle, Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, are the top earners in the box office of 2023. And that has got to get a lot of people thinking, a lot of studios execs being like, they need to spend their money way more efficiently.
On the tail end of that, but you know as well as I do, the Hollywood saw the success of Barbies
and learned all the
they
wrong
like
lessons.
Toys. Let's get
learned
toys.
all the wrong lessons.
It's like, no, it was an original script. It was an original story. It was meta. It was exactly what we were looking for. Please do that.
It was a smart script.
It was.
That's why Barbie got what it got.
Right.
But that's my point, is like A24, that's what they are invested in. And they buy these things for a song and then elevate it with, the production behind it, right? Like, I I think we're going to see. My point is, I think we're going to see more of these things. I think I hope so, but I think you're going to just look at your Marvels. I don't think we're going to, as much as it's to my chagrin, we're not going to get 5 or 6 Marvel movies a year. We'll probably tamper it down. We'll get 1 or 2, maybe a couple things on Disney Plus. But I think you're going to see more of this, and I hope so. Either that or Hollywood is stupider than I give them credit for, and which they could be. So we'll see.
Because I think when it comes to A24, and Josh, I know you went down the rabbit hole, but I think you started, because I know I was all about Ex Machina, and I want to shut up about it. And then I didn't realize that was like A24, but I think, was Moonlight the movie that you were like going to bat for before it was a thing?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. It was Moonlight.
I remember you were like, just shut up and fucking watch Moonlight and thank me later. And that's when I think we were just like, I liked that other and okay, I think this studio is something that I like, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then came the Ladybirds, the Hereditary, right, for you, Brian, with the horror part for it. And I think Happy Death Day was also an A24
Happy
film.
Death Day was,
Love and
that
one.
Sequel.
Yeah, and Happy Death Day to You. Yep. And The Whale and Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I think now they're on the right track of just like, not only do the film stops and go, this is actually really good, but like, we can watch this and be like, this was fun. Like, I watched The Green Knight, and the same thing. I watched it going, I didn't quite get it all, and I'm going to watch it again, and I did, but I didn't feel stupid, to your point, Brian, right, for not having gotten it in that first watch.
There often is a message, right? There's often like the Evan Williams with the Mad Libs, right? And he's always got like,
yeah,
we're an A24 movie, and it's going to finish on the last 20 minutes is be just a zoomed in on a cow's face, and there'll be somebody crying and whatever. So that it does very frequently point to a parable or whatever, but they're making some great friggin' movies. Jesse Eisenberg directed this When You Finish Saving the World.
I've heard this.
That was really good. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus was in this movie, You Hurt My Feelings. That was really, really good. And I've already mentioned Minari. And there's a ton of examples of why A24 is great. And there have been A24 movies that I turned on and kind of went, I can't. Maybe another day. Maybe today isn't the day that I watch this movie. But I don't like feeling like I'm watching something that someone is going to call a film and break down into its parts. I don't like that. I want to. Right. I think I'm on the record a million times going, I want to escape onto the screen for a minute. Yeah. Right. I want to live in the characters while they're in front of me, and I want to be a part of it. And I don't think that this list, what this person said they were going to do, right? Power to move you, power to help you. I'm over here going, I'm not really sure how a lot of these movies do that.
Right.
And why you would be putting, if that's the case, right? Why you be putting, Invasion of the Body Snatchers on here. Like, did that move you?
Right.
Sure.
I don't know, but like, whatever, man. These people just need to, I don't know, be human. Just be like a dude for a minute, and don't
be the dude.
Don't
do that. At
don't
least.
have to. Yeah, like I don't need Les Enfants du Paradis. I don't need that on here. Like, why is it? You put a French film that who is identifying with that?
Right.
Look, Rear Window. Yep.
Yeah.
That's totally. One that I'm like, absolutely. Right. I just I think I added it to the watch list, and like I've heard enough people say, if you like thrillers, you need to watch Rear Window, and now I'm on board.
Right. Yeah. But again, the premise is, if you like blank,
that's exactly
this.
Right. exactly.
Not Josh. You have to watch this movie before you die. Otherwise, your existence was meaningless, and you actually never connected with another human being.
In the way
your connection with your children
that
is void because you did not watch Le Cage Cheval. Get out of here.
in the way that there's a man and a woman as co-stars, Casablanca and When Harry Met Sally belong together.
Correct.
And in no other way.
Correct.
So why are they on the same list?
Agreed. Excellent. Well,
another Josh
took a
takedown.
turn.
Boom.
So took a turn that I was not expecting. I am happy it took this turn. I'm happy I went with those lists. Now, CJ, do the thing.
For the Choose Your Own Adventure style, I award you 2 points. Just for the absolute call out of this is a list made for no one and the Hoityies of Toities. I also award you, Josh, with 2 points for this. But for Brian, for taking us down a rabbit hole that I did not expect on this one, I will award you 3 points. Just for the rabbit hole of also now I have more movies from A24 that I have to watch that Josh has made me procure. So therefore I'll be watching some A24 movies. With that,
I still lose. So
well, is there anything else we want to talk about? It's been a while. We can talk a bit. We got 5 minutes cut out of this. We're just by an hour. Did anyone buy the new iPhone? I'm just curious. Did any of you get the new 15?
I have a Pro Max. Yeah.
How are you?
No.
Go ahead.
No, I just got the 13 right before Maxwell was born, so I'm probably going to wait another generation before I even think about it.
See, I would entertain that if you're on anything below the 14, that this is worth going over to. And just for the pros, for 2 reasons. The Max, I think, obviously, for the camera. But, I mean, this action button, Josh, and I know every Android fanboy is yelling at me. We've had this since, whatever. This thing is freaking game-changing. And I love this so much.
And look, I need my home screen clean. So I have 2 widgets on my home screen, and they are both multifunctional, right?
Right.
So there's one that scrolls through weather, notes, photos, music, calendar.
You have a stack, right? Yeah.
I have a stack, right? And then I have the 2x4. So 8 app series suggestion, right, which is apps that I use most frequently.
Right.
But that cycles, right? And so I built a shortcut for the action button that when I long press, it gives me a list of 10 apps that I put in there that I use very frequently, but not so frequently that they would regularly appear on my Siri suggestions on my home screen. So with the touch of a button, I can open any of these frequently used apps instead of sliding over 2 screens, clicking on the app library search bar, and typing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, saving those 3 to 4 seconds 10 times a day is worth it.
Yeah.
And I don't care how long any other phone has had anything. I never used it.
I never had those phones.
It's new to me, and so it's amazing.
Well, also the argument of Android did it first. I can't stand this argument because it doesn't matter who did it first. It matters who does it best.
Right.
Like, for example, there were 4 different slasher quote unquote movies that you would consider slasher films before Halloween. John Carpenter's Halloween came out, but John Carpenter's Halloween is the best and codified that genre, and everybody copied that moving forward. So, I don't give a shit that Android did it first. 9 times out of 10, it sucked. Or it was going through some changes or was not living up to its best potential, and then Apple came in and said, hey, we did it better. Cool.
Yeah, I'm not unwilling enough to recognize that while this is a great implementation and other things that Apple has copied from Android, that Android still does do better. For example, this action button needs a double press function. This needs me to get a secondary action from this.
It will evolve,
eventually,
right?
Yeah. Same thing with widgets. The widgets are great, but I want to place a widget in a particular space, and iOS is like, fuck you, it lives on the grid, and if you don't put it on the grid, then you're evil and you should die. And that's not how it is, right? Hey, I can finally, previously on iOS, if I had a widget of all my home stuff that I want to turn off this light, I would press the widget and it's like, let me load the app for you. Hold on. Let me load the home app. And now it's like, hey, now I'll turn off your light. You're like, thanks for taking so long to do this. So I do agree while Apple does a lot of good things correct, I don't think they do it right off the bat, nor do I think that they fully knock it out the park. But yeah.
The thing that I think everyone with an iPhone overlooks, and the thing that Apple has been sinking a ton of development into for the past decade, are the ways to customize your device using accessibility.
Yes.
If you were like, think back to like the iPhone 4 and 4S, like accessibility was like three things. Like you go to accessibility and the accessibility menu was literally like three things. And now here's what I use accessibility for. I go to settings, accessibility, touch. Okay. Now, I like the haptic touch. I like being able to do things by tapping my phone. It's a shortcut for me. It saves time, all that stuff. If you open the haptic touch menu and set it to touch duration fast, the animations, everything on your phone speeds up.
Yeah.
If you haven't done that yet, you need to do that. The other thing I do with a Pro Max, because I'm not a professional basketball player,
reachability.
Yeah, I can't reach. With my thumb, I cannot reach the top of the screen, right, without repositioning my hand, right, which is dangerous, right? On a 15 Pro Max, repositioning your hand, you drop your phone, crack the screen. But by swiping down on the bottom of the screen, it brings the top of my screen to the middle, and now I can do whatever I need to do, right? So those two things make this my monstrous phone more usable, and it is slightly lighter and slightly thinner than the last one. Even if it wasn't, I haven't upgraded for 2 years, and my battery capacity was at like 88%,
right,
to full, right. So that means that at 100% charge, it's 88% of its former, right. So 60% of the time, it works every time, and I'm half human, so the half of me that's dumb is 100% you, and my math is blowing your mind right now.
The other thing that I used just the other day, so I came back from vacation, and unfortunately my cable line had been cut, and so I came back. By the way, I was gone the whole week, no ability to check in on my house whatsoever. The server was down, right? I couldn't control anything in my house. My buddy was staying here watching the animals. He's like, "How do I turn on a light?" I'm like, fuck. I got you, right? But I came back home and it was time to watch football, Josh, and I had no cable. I had no internet. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? And because of the glorious USB-C port that they finally adopted thanks to the EU, I was able to just plug in a USB-C to HDMI adapter and immediately have it connected to my television and watched the Steelers game via my phone that way. It got incredibly hot, but like got exactly what I needed. This phone is great. I could talk ad nauseum for this. You know, I'm an Apple fanboy and a mobile fanboy, so I could go on for this for days and days. But Brian, it's look at your battery capacity. If your 13 is still chugging along at an acceptable range, great. If not, just for the camera and for the action button, especially when you're trying to capture something like the automatic portrait pick now. So now when you take a picture, it will capture portrait depth and then you can apply it retroactively. That's a huge thing, I think, for taking pictures of kids. I don't like swiping over to let me take the picture. All right, now let me go to portrait mode, right? And you have to stop that moment. Now it's just auto captured all in the same time, where I could just take a picture because I need to take a picture. And then it's like a little icon on the bottom that says, by the way, we also got stuff in case you want to make this a portrait later. You don't have to go through all the rigmarole. So just some good enhancements. And then as I said earlier, I'm now on the hunt for. I got a USB-C displace. I had to do it for the car. That was the biggest realization. I got done with buying the phone, and I was like, I need CarPlay because we were going somewhere, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't have a USB-A to USB-C in my car. Okay, I can't use my phone for CarPlay. This sucks. And then I had to use the internal Ford navigation and entertainment system.
No.
And I swear to God, gentlemen, I wanted to just crash into a telephone pole. Gonna need your help with that. All right, that does not change our scores.
Josh wins.
So by a narrow margin. How much do you think you got, Brian?
I was adding my points up correctly. I think I got 11 or 12, and Josh is ending with like 14.
It is 12 to you, Brian, and 15 to Josh. Well, nerds, thank you so much for making us your walk around your neighborhood, your drive to work, or whatever it is that we are in your life. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next episode.
Well, welcome to the club, because you are that kind of nerd.
Stretch, Brian. Get that good stretch in there.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I gotta stay limber. I'm chasing around a freaking toddler now. No longer can he just chill out while I podcast. Like he's running all over the place, like he freaking owns the place or something.
I was catching up with my best friend from high school, and he's a year older than I am. And I got out of a chair and I went, made the classic dad.
You did the old man groan.
35-year-old groan.
Yeah.
And he's like, no one tells you that once you hit like 35, 36, you make groans when you do basic tasks.
Yeah.
And it's not that you have to, like in the sense of like, oh, if something hurts and I had to do this. This is just involuntary at this point. It just happens. Yep. No one told me that. Yep. Thank you for that one. That makes me feel good about life. All right. Let's do this.